Good evening and thank you for joining us. The Thunder Bay District Health Unit is reporting 4 new COVID-19 cases today. That's the largest one-day bump in our local numbers since the height of the first wave back in April. This brings the total case count in our area to 114. The health unit no longer reports the age or gender of those who test positive. Of the 4 new cases, 1 was contracted through travel, while another was through close contact with someone who has already contracted the virus. It's still unknown how the other 2 infections occurred. All 4 are from the Thunder Bay and surrounding area, and all are self-isolating. The health unit has now reported cases 2 days in a row, this after 12 straight days with no new confirmed infections. We now know from data supplied by the province that yesterday's travel-related case was a female in her 30s. There are now 5 active cases in the district. Local officials are reacting to yesterday's decision by the Toronto Transit Commission to order 13 streetcars from Bombardier with the option to boost that number to 60. It's expected the cars will be built at the Thunder Bay plant, and now pressure is being put on upper levels of government to put up funding for those extra 47 cars. Corey Nordstrom has more.
The TTC has approved an order for 13 streetcars. That includes an option for 47 additional vehicles. The extra work, however, is dependent on an additional $360 million.
Would require the federal and the provincial governments stepping up and putting in their third as well. And hopefully that'll happen very soon.
Management at the local plants say it's great news and that the vote is validation of how successful the 204 streetcars built at the local plant over the past decade are performing for the City of Toronto. A hopeful Dominic Pasqualino says the 13 streetcar order would be nice, but it's the 60 that they're really after. He says at this point it isn't decided that the cars will be built in Thunder Bay. Pasqualino notes that Bombardier's Kingston plant is already producing similar light rail vehicles for Metrolinx, and he worries if the other 47 aren't announced, the company might decide that is the better option.
If the schedule is not aggressive, if they don't need the cars very quickly, and there's only 13 of them, they can very easily do that job in Kingston, and they would not have the tool-up costs that they would have over here.
There are currently 400 workers at the Bombardier plant, and Pasqualino expects that to dip to 250 early next year. He says their current contracts only take them to the end of 2021 and paints a grim picture for that time.
My concern is 2022, to my knowledge, there is no work available for the plant, okay? So that's really important to make sure we start getting contracts now. To sit around here and do 13 cars. You know, we'd only need 10 people, 5 people to do that.
Pasqualino doesn't know how long it will take for a decision to be made on the funding from provincial and federal governments, but is confident that if the order is boosted to 60 cars, it will go to Thunder Bay. Corey Nordstrom, TBT News.
Preliminary test results from the water plant on the Neskantaga First Nation have come back and have revealed high levels of hydrocarbons. More tests are being ordered to help better understand what caused the oil-like film to appear on the community's water supply earlier this week that led to evacuations of 233 community members to Thunder Bay. The Do Not Consume Water Advisory will remain in effect while the follow-up testing is carried out. The underground gym, which closed its doors after a fire last year, may soon be making a comeback. Founder Peter Panetta has found a new building at an undisclosed location less than a kilometer from the old Simpson Street gym, and he's now looking for help from the community so he can purchase it for the kids in his program. The fire and a broken pipe at the old facility last November were the final straws, following rat infestations and other structural issues as well. Panetta says the new building he's found is 5,000 square feet with space for a new kitchen for cooking programs, but he says he needs the public's help to raise money to buy the building. It's listed at $90,000. Panetta already has more than half of that covered.
I have some financial backers, but not enough to buy it. And I'm asking the general public to donate to get this building ASAP, because seriously, it's something that's really badly needed. This is going to happen. Nothing's going to stop this because it's meant to happen. This is supposed to happen. This is called, I don't know if you call it fate, Destiny, it is going to happen.
Anyone wishing to donate can send an e-transfer to the email address on the screen or can send a check to the gym's old address. It will then be rerouted to Panetta. All the money will go toward the building fund to help the gym reopen its doors. The city councillor for the Current River ward says he's excited to see that the abandoned parking lot at the former Port Arthur General Hospital site will finally be put to good use. Earlier this week, TVT News revealed that Southbridge Care Homes is set to build a new 160-bed facility on the site to replace its 50-year-old long-term care facility on Vickers Street. Fold says since the demolition of the old hospital in 2010, following its closure 6 years earlier, the property has fallen into disrepair. This new 3-story facility, which is expected to break ground in the spring and take 14 to 18 months to build, will give life to a property that has become derelict over the past decade or more.
I'm hopeful that this is a sort of positive benefit to the community and the neighborhood. So again, it's going to be quite a facility. It does sound like there will be an increase in beds, which of course this community needs desperately. And it sounds like the facility itself will have enhanced services for the residents. So it sounds like a really good opportunity. It sounds like a good build. It sounds like it's a real positive addition to the city.
Southbridge officials have submitted building permits to the city and the project has gone out to tender. They had originally hoped to break ground this fall, but it's now more likely that construction will begin in the spring. Ontario is reporting 826 new COVID-19 cases today and 9 additional deaths. And the independent commission investigating COVID-19 in the province's long-term care system is calling for immediate changes to deal with the second wave of the virus. Colin DeMello has that story.
Families of those lost in Ontario's long-term care homes received confirmation today of something that they had suspected all along, that long-term care was forgotten by the province during its initial pandemic planning.
Long-term care didn't get the attention at the very outset that the hospitals got.
The COVID-19 Commission looking into long-term care is now trying to ensure that oversight does not happen again, especially as the province settles into the second wave of the pandemic.
There is urgency. The biggest health crisis in 100 years. The commissioners have heard from 200 people. They've heard information that they thought that might assist in alleviating some of the suffering in the second wave, and they felt compelled to bring that to the attention of the government now.
The Commission delivered several recommendations today, urging the government to implement them immediately.
What about when you sit up in a chair?
Oh, yeah.
The first is to spend more time with patients. The Commission is calling on the Ford government to set minimum standards of 4 hours of direct care per patient, which advocates say could be a challenge.
So that's a significant increase in time that would be spent providing care to residents. The problem is you can't just pick a number if you don't actually have the staff to meet it.
There's currently a shortage of 6,000 personal support workers, just at a time when staff in long-term care are already overwhelmed. The government says it has been racing to address this issue.
We are working on a plan to get more nurses, more personal support workers. We've already taken action on that.
The Commission is also calling for a mandatory collaboration model so that hospitals can help long-term care homes in crisis. It's calling for better infection prevention and control procedures and inspections to ensure compliance. And it's calling for rapid testing in long-term care.
Many of the steps have already been taken or are in implementation right now.
Advocates are hoping this government will follow through.
Ontarians are really going to be looking to hold the feet to the fire of this government to actually make change, and to turn down the recommendations of this commission, I think would be at their peril.
And the commission says it is watching.
A 29-year-old man is in hospital with possible life-threatening injuries after a crash involving a pickup truck last night. Thunder Bay Police were dispatched just after 9:30 to the Hilldale and Melbourne Road area. The truck was the only vehicle involved with just a single occupant. The driver remains at the regional hospital and the city police traffic unit continues to investigate. It's being dubbed the biggest capital project in Atikokan in decades. Ground was broken yesterday on Aspen Court. The 38-room seniors living complex will allow older adults to downsize without having to move to Thunder Bay or Fort Francis. Adam Riley was in the community for the ceremony and files this report.
We've been really working on getting a seniors complex for the seniors of Atikokan for many, many years, and finally it's happening.
Atikokan Mayor Dennis Brown couldn't help but get a little emotional at the groundbreaking of a project that for him culminates a decade's worth of advocacy and planning. Aspen Court is a $14 million 38-room seniors complex that will also feature common areas and an office for therapists and stylists to provide services to residents. Brown says while he and members of council wanted the facility built, there was just too much money involved for the town to do it themselves.
Because we have enough debt, so we were prepared to help out and everything like that. But when it came time to getting the money, we just didn't have that because we have enough debt in Atikokan. So that's why we were able to work with community living and get it done that way.
Brown notes the project is bringing some money to the community, as around 60 jobs are directly related to construction of Aspen Court, which is being done by CGV Developments. That company is no stranger to northwestern Ontario. In 2018, the company cut the ribbon on Marathon's Peninsula Manor, which has a similar layout to that of Aspen Court. Funding for the project is coming through the National Housing Strategy, which Jim Turner, the Executive Director of Community Living Atikokan, says is a big help. The groundbreaking ceremony was also used as a kickoff for a $200,000 fundraising drive to purchase furniture and appliances for the facility, which received a $25,000 head start from 3 local employers: Ontario Power Generation, Resolute Forest Products, and M&C Motors. Turner says he is grateful for the support and is encouraging the community to get involved.
That's a great start to the campaign. We're so thankful to our donors. We've had others get in touch with us with questions, and so we're hoping, to be getting calls from them in the coming days. But we really need the community to step up as well to make this a reality. And every donation will help. The smallest donation will make a big difference.
With the physical work on the site and the fundraising campaign now well underway, Turner says he's excited to see what will transpire over the next 13 to 14 months. As is expected, he and many others will be back here at the end of 2021 when they cut the ribbon on the brand new Aspen Court. Adam Riley, TBT News.
Matawa Nonprofit Housing Corporation is celebrating the opening of 8 new rent-geared-to-income housing units here in Thunder Bay. The 2 fourplex apartments are a result of continued collaboration with the District Social Services Board along with other nonprofit housing funders. Avery McRae has the details.
Here's to a new beginning.
It was an exciting day for all parties involved, with the Matawa Nonprofit Housing Corporation opening 8 new one-bedroom units. In partnership with the Thunder Bay DSAB, the residents are designed for families with lower income, with the rent geared to the income of a family in order to ensure they still have funds for groceries and other necessities. Robinson Mashaki is the president of the Matawa Nonprofit Housing and knows these units will go a long way in changing the lives for families who may have never had a unit so nice.
We experience homelessness almost on a daily basis, as with First Nations people, Métis, or people who are struggling to, as they relocate to the city, whether if they want to seek employment or health needs or education. There's always going to be a struggle.
To be able to move into an affordable environment where the rent is geared to their income rather than having to pay full market rent, we believe will make a big difference.
The housing units are located in the Castle Green area on Thunder Bay's north side. The quiet neighborhood is full of multiplex apartments, and Bradica says it will be a great fit for the new tenants.
This is a great fit, and like I remarked when I first came on site as well, and familiar with the Castle Green and Superior View co-op sites, but the fact that there are still so many trees in the area, I think is a really nice touch as well.
It's remarkable. Just words cannot express how happy I am to see that this is a reality, especially living, especially within this area, this Castle Green area.
All 8 families are expected to be moved in by month's end. Those interested in the rent geared to income housing can apply through DSAB to be placed on a wait list. The average time for applying to an offer on a unit is about 9.5 months. Avery McRae, TBT News.
There's a huge new exhibit now on display at the Thunder Bay Art Gallery, created by a Nova Scotia artist. The Maud Lewis exhibit features more than 100 pieces of her work from 1940 to 1970. The self-trained folk artist has captured the hearts of many. Lewis suffered from juvenile arthritis and overcame various other obstacles during her lifetime, but most would never know it based on her cheerful artwork. The pieces she created give viewers a sense of nostalgia as she incorporates visuals of the Maritimes and her childhood. The art gallery's education coordinator, Denise Smith, says for her, the Maud Lewis exhibit is inspiring and motivating.
Right now, in the time we're living in, it's a really anxious time. There's often lots of bad news. It's really nice to see this kind of work right now and to think about how she approached life. Like, she had a really challenging life, being born with a disability, and she just continued to view the world with this beautiful lens.
The Maud Lewis exhibit is on display until January 3rd. Well, 2020 is a year that no one will ever forget, and now the City of Thunder Bay is putting together a time capsule that won't be opened until the year 2070 as part of the city's 50th anniversary celebrations. The city opened a similar time capsule on New Year's Day containing items from 1995 when Thunder Bay marked its 25th birthday. The 50th Anniversary Committee is now looking for local documents, photos, and possibly some small objects to place in the new time capsule, which will be sealed up for 50 years. Committee Chair, Councillor Shelby Chung, hopes people have suggestions that are personal to them, like some found in the previous time capsule.
My most favorite piece that we pulled out of the time capsule was a letter from Joe Camuzzi. And it was questions to the future about what does the future look like? Is the Fort William Garden still standing? I got a big kick out of those questions, and it inspired me to begin to write a diary for this year. So since January 1st, it's the first time capsule open.
Suggestions on what should go into the time capsule can be sent to the city clerk's office by the end of the year.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. If you and I had a time capsule, it'd be tie clips, cufflinks, and pocket squares.
Nothing anybody wants.
And hair gel. Okay, Fiona, how's the weather looking?
Well, it was kind of a meh day. I think it was probably the best way to describe it. Not a cold night, not a warm day. We had a low of 1 and a high of 2. So in the last 24 hours, temperatures really not moving much. Winds were from the north, 7 to 17 kilometers per hour, but for about 2 hours this afternoon, they did kick up to about 30 kilometer per hour gusts. And we did have a little bit of overnight snow, but with overnight lows staying above the freezing mark, many areas didn't see the snow really come to much of anything in their yards. Across the region to the west, Fort Frances also had a mild night and a cool day, a low of -2, a high of -1. They've got some cloud. Temperatures fairly similar as you head north into Red Lake, although they do have a light snow flurry at this time. It was much colder last night. Red Lake hit -9, so the -1 is actually a nice warm-up for folks there. Sioux Lookout at 0-1 in Armstrong, -1 in Greenstone under mostly cloudy skies, as is Marathon, but Sault Ste. Marie dealing with a Colorado low that has been heading towards the northeastern portions of Ontario. Hit really hard, heavy rain last night, slightly lighter rain today. Right now, bit of a slight rain shower at 3, but there's still a chance of up to 15 millimeters to fall tonight. Here in the city of Thunder Bay, however, we're going to drop down to -4 with the wind chill will feel like -7, and we will see some light clearing. However, as we head into next week, this unseasonably cold weather that's been hitting central Canada and the north central states, well, that's going to continue, and I'll have more details on what those numbers will be later on in the news hour.
Thanks a lot, Fiona. Well, the federal government is investing some big dollars in some Canadian vaccine candidates. We'll explain when we return.
There are still trials going on. There are still a number of companies, some closer than others.